we doing, guys? Welcome to DT's Daily. That's right. How we doing, guys? Welcome to DT's Daily. We are back for another week, and we're going to take a little look at what's going on in the world of football with transfers, etc. There's quite a bit going on. Nothing real concrete, a few little moves here and there. But again, it's just that little bit of, jostling, waiting for dominoes to fall and everything else. But the situation at Arsenal in terms of the goalkeepers, first thing I'm going to mention, of course, and it's a really strange one. And I was speaking about this on social media earlier, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this, is that obviously it looks like Arsenal are bringing in David Raya. And part of this domino effect is that Matt Turner is then going to go to Nottingham Forest. Now, the little subplot here is that Arsenal's first league game this weekend is Nottingham Forest. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, are Arsenal in the process of just dragging this out a little bit more for David Raya so Matt Turner's not in goal against us on Saturday? And I know that might sound really strange. That might sound, surely a club of that professional level wouldn't do that. But I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, under normal circumstances, I wouldn't, have a problem with our attacking players facing Matt Turner. But with it being the first game of the season, it's literally days before. You kind of get this thing in your head where you're thinking he could turn into a prime Manuel Neuer. And it's like, and it's at the Emirates as well. And he's going to want to do something. And I think the only kind of comparison I can have was, if you remember last season, Bernd Leno left and he went to Fulham. Now, the second time we played Fulham, there was no issues at all. We absolutely tore Fulham apart. And Bernd Leno was beaten all ends up. But in the first game at the Emirates, if you remember, Bernd Leno had a really good game and he was really on top in that game. And it was very early into the season as well, only a couple of games in. And it actually took a deflected effort to get our equalising goal. And if you remember, we scored right at the end. We actually went 1-0 down in that game. So yeah, he kind of had a, inspired performance, shall we say. And I don't know whether I feel the same with Matt Turner. I'm like, oh no. Can you imagine selling him? And then he literally comes straight back within a couple of days and he puts in a man of the match performance and stops us winning the game. Can you actually imagine that happening? It's like, oh mate. Because the David Raya situation, it's not a major necessity for us right now. David Raya could sign right now. He's not going to play at the weekend. He's not going to get ahead of Aaron Ramsdale right now. So it's not the be-all and end-all for us. So are Arsenal kind of dragging it out just a little bit till we get to the cut-off point. And I'm not sure when the cut-off point is. I think it may be Thursday. So a couple more days, 48 hours or so, where he would be eligible or ineligible, should we say, to be involved in the game at the weekend. So let me know your thoughts on that one. And if you're an Arsenal fan, would you kind of look at it and say, nah, it's fine, just get on with it? Or, yeah, you're a little bit apprehensive as I am. Let me know. Harry Kane, of course, this, situation's dragging on. I think that, to be fair, this is probably going to be one that goes all the way to the end of the window. He played against Shakhtar at the weekend and he scored 4 goals. But of course, it's Bayern Munich and it only seems to be Bayern Munich in for him. Apparently, there's about £20 million, difference in the valuation and everything else. And listen, Daniel Levy's a tough negotiator. He's somebody that's not going to budge. If he wants a certain amount, he's going to try and get that amount. And there's a lot of talk saying that if, the situation's not sorted by the start of the Premier League season this weekend, Harry Kane's going to stay. I don't believe that. I feel that if Bayern Munich come in with, the right amount, even to the latter part of the window, he will leave. And it's very evident that he wants to leave. So it's interesting, and we'll see what happens with that one. Caicedo, again, nothing really happening with this. Looks like he may be going to Chelsea. Was left out over the weekend. It seems to be turning a little bit sour, which is, a shame, because he's a quality player and he's been a good servant to Brighton, and vice versa. Brighton have done so much for him. So you kind of look at that and think, yeah, maybe have a little bit more respect towards the club. But yeah, listen, we'll see what happens with that one. Brighton are well within their rights to, say this is the asking price. If you don't pay it, we're not selling. Why should teams be bullied into selling players for less? You look at the situation with Arsenal and Balogun. I've seen it for ages. Arsenal put a valuation of around about £50 million on him. And people are saying it's too much. Drop it to 30, 35, etc. Listen, if you look at the market as it is now, and you look at the prices that players are going that have scored less goals than Balogun, you're thinking to yourself, well, hold on a minute. No, Arsenal are in their rights. If they want to sell him for that price, then they're going to sell him for that price. If you don't like it, shut up. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with that one. Tottenham have signed a player, Van de Ven, £43 million deal. Now, I'm not going to be one of these that sits here and says, oh, yeah, he's amazing. I've watched him every week. I don't know anything about him. So, yeah, you'll have to tell me in the comment section, is this a good buy or not? It's Tottenham anyway, so he ain't going to win no trophies. Roy Hodgson has spoken about Elise, and he says that his future is out of his hands. I wouldn't mind him at Arsenal, to be honest. I think that he'll be a good player there and competing with Saka on that right-hand side and more depth. I think, yeah, he's a quality player. Quality player. Newcastle have signed Livramento from Southampton for 32 million. Newcastle quietly going about their business. And be interesting to see what they do this year. Of course, they are in Champions League football, so the demands are going to get higher. And it's whether they can sustain, the season that they had last year. So that's going to be an interesting one. And last piece of news involves West Ham. Of course, they've got a load of money now because of Declan Rice. They don't have it all at once. We know that. It's the instalments, but they got money that's going to be there. And teams know that. And they're looking for a double swoop, Harry Maguire and Scott McTominay. And apparently Manchester United are quoting around about £70 million for the pair. Really? Listen, my thoughts on Harry Maguire. I think that growing up, in junior football, he's a big guy. And I'm not saying he's overweight or anything. He's just a big guy. He's a unit. He probably went through a lot of like the junior football and whatnot, miles bigger than everyone else, and absolutely bullied them and knocked them over. And he looked unreal. And he ended up being one of these that, gets in and, is very fortunate to make a professional career. I don't think he should be playing for England. I think it's an absolute joke that, Gareth Southgate is still picking him, let alone starting him when he can't even get in the team for Manchester United. He's been, stripped to the captaincy. Every time you watch him, there's a mistake. Every time you watch him, he just looks clumsy. Every time you watch him, you just think, how is this guy a professional footballer? But he's living the dream. Listen, we all wished we could be a professional footballer, but Harry Maguire is. And he's got West Ham after him. But for the kind of money they're talking, seriously, I understand that Manchester United want to recoup some of what they paid, which was a ridiculous amount. But no, not for me. Not for me. And McTominay, I think that'd be a good signing for West Ham, to be fair. I think, Manchester United is too big a club for Scott McTominay. I'm trying to say that with all due respect. Yeah. I can't say much more. Listen, they're West Ham level players if they're going to go there. Harry Maguire, I think, is lower than that. But yeah, maybe they can help West Ham fight, relegation. because that's where I think that they're going to be this season, down the bottom end, fighting relegation. So, listen, there we go. That is it for today's DT's Daily. As usual, let me know in the comments section what you think about today's topics, the players, etc. Let me know as usual. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you put that bell on for the notification. And I will see you lot very soon. I'm out of here.